Hi everybody, and welcome to Divine Resolution Tarot. I am going to do a twin flame reading for you because I feel like we haven't done twin flames this month. So let's cut the deck and pull some cards and get a feel for what has been going on since I spoke to all of you last. I'll be using words like divine, feminine, or masculine. Please don't be alarmed if you are vice versa, right? Because energy doesn't discriminate. So 8 of Swords for the bottom of your deck. Wow. I think you both have moved on from each other is what this is looking like to me. Your energy, you're coming through as being really disappointed. I'm seeing you wanting to leave to find your happiness. And I kind of feel like with what I'm picking up on from these cards, you're moving into a space where the twin flame connection isn't holding the same weight that it used to, right? I feel as though maybe in the past you would have been more apt to try to work on things because someone is your twin. Whereas now you're just looking at the situation and you're realizing that you're going to need to make a change here. I think that you've been trying really hard with this situation, but you're realizing this person is not going to fix what's broken. You know, they're not showing up for you. They haven't shown up for you. And because of that, it's a lot of stagnant energy. But I think what's interesting is that rather than the both of you like moving forward together, it's kind of feeling like you're moving forward in different directions. Bottom of your deck for your divine masculine energy, I think of you often. Ouch. It's in the reverse. I know you are worried about me in the reverse. You are part of me in the reverse. So it seems like both of you are over it. Or at least you kind of have been. Nothing is changing. So I feel like for you who resonate with your feminine energy, you're on this side. You don't want to keep doing this, you know, and there's just such a resignation. But it's sad to me because I feel like you're both moving, but rather than moving together, you've been moving apart, you know. Your obstacle's Ace of Cups. So how do you have that new beginning when you're both at such different places in your life? It almost feels like this masculine energy is no longer considering a future with the feminine energy at this time. Could be trying to work on something somewhere else, right? Whereas the feminine, I feel like you're putting your happiness first and really trying to do some self-care. So kind of interesting because it's like you're both moving away from each other, but you're doing it in different ways. Masculine, I feel like, is looking for validation outside of themselves, whereas the feminine is like, no, if I'm going to attract something new into my life or a different version of my masculine or even a better match for me than my masculine, I need to really do some work within myself and fix myself. Let's take a look at the present energy for you all. I'm so sorry because this is really frustrating. Like, movement's happening, but it's just not the direction that, you know, you would want. Yeah, for you all that are viewing, there's such a disharmony, you know, and I really feel like now that the masculine, it's almost like they're not even trying anymore, or they're just like, this is so weird. It's literally just like they're gone. You know, they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to have to explain or acknowledge the connection. And I feel like that came after you setting some boundaries for those of you watching, because 8 of Wands, you know, sometimes that really is that power struggle where it's like, where is this going? I don't like the way you're treating me. I need to set some boundaries here and take my own power back. And I feel like this is really opening some wounds for those of you who are viewing this, because you finally got into a space where you were setting some really healthy boundaries with your masculine energy. And instead of seeing the results that you wanted, where it's like, okay, I'm respecting myself, so this person should be respecting me, or I'm communicating my needs clearly, and then I'm standing on how I feel, I'm not allowing this person to keep running over me, they just completely lose interest. And this kind of feels like a way of punishing you, okay, by removing you. So what I was going to say is that now that you finally move it into a space of like, okay, I need to be a better version of myself. The person that I want to be is not going to settle for this kind of behavior. They don't react in a way where it's like, I hear what you're saying. I'm sorry. I respect you. This is literally like somebody who has excommunicated you from the group or banished you from their life, right? It's as though you never existed. So if you have a history of any kind of abandonment trauma, or feeling as though it's been very hard for you to stand up for yourself in situations or communicate your needs and really stand on it, those of you who are in those situations or have been in those situations, you may be feeling incredibly triggered because it's like, wow, I did what I needed to do to be healthy. And this is my response. This is what I'm getting, right? So please make sure that you're practicing very good self-care at this time. I am happy though. What I will say is that you're not allowing someone to be in your space and waste your time who's not willing to do the work to fix the situation. What you're doing is 100% healthy, and I'm sorry that it feels like this old wound is like being torn open, right? But this is creating a tower moment for you. And I feel like the thing here is that you're going to start seeing that perhaps things that you once thought were a certain way are actually something else as a result of this. Okay. I'm going to look into this a little bit more, but I kind of feel like the masculine's behavior, it's showing you something so different. It's a break from the pattern of coming, going, right? And because of that, I feel like what's being created here is almost very destructive in a lot of ways. It's destructive to the way that you viewed the relationship you had with this person. It's destructive to the way that you felt about yourself. Perhaps you'll be finding that you have not healed from certain situations in your life that you thought were no longer a problem. This behavior that I'm seeing is just incredibly triggering right now. So for those of you who are going through this, I'm very sorry. But yeah, this is just so disappointing. Okay. Yeah, so here's the thing, and I'm hoping that you will be able to see this for what it is, because you're moving into a space of being very confused. For those of you who are viewing, you're probably more the feminine energy. And it's like, was I wrong about this person? Was this ever my twin? Did they ever care at all? How is it that when I'm being very healthy and I'm finally advocating for myself, this is, what I'm being met with? This person is not even trying to like resist what you're saying. They're not doing what they usually do, where maybe they come and go or try to make you jealous or whatever. It's like this person has just completely written you out of their life. And they may even be giving attention to other people, but it almost feels like it's not in a way of like, hey, look at me, aren't you jealous? It's really to minimize you and to make you feel as though you never existed at all. And what I'm seeing here is the reason for this behavior is because if you don't exist, then the way that you made this person feel doesn't exist either. And that's how they're looking at it. If you no longer exist, then they don't feel rejected. They don't feel hurt. They don't feel like they were told what to do. This is through the lens of their ego, rather than try to acknowledge the disappointment, acknowledge why you feel the way you do, or remember the love that was there. They don't want to be accountable. So it's easier to just pretend that you're not even in their space, that you never meant anything. They don't even know who you are, right? And that's because this person doesn't like being told what to do. That's really what it is, That's kind of all that it boils down to, because you could have communicated something like, this is what I need. And instead of them seeing it for what it is, you clearly brought it to them because you wanted them to fix what the situation was. If you didn't want to fix it, you wouldn't even bother bringing it to them, right? They took it as like an affront to them as a person, right? And so it's like, well, my twin is leaving, or my twin feels like this about me. And I reject all of that. This isn't real. This isn't happening. They don't even exist to me. They're not even worth a reply. You know what I mean? And it's very silly, but I think that part of the obstacle is not just control, but it really has a lot to do with being emotionally available, because this energy is very focused on not letting go of their personal power. But to feel powerful, it's almost like they have to dominate people in the situations that they're in. So I'm seeing a huge imbalance in your masculine's energy as far as the lack of feminine energy here, right? They're not willing to have empathy. And I feel like that's a huge issue with that Ace of Cups being your past obstacle. They're not willing to feel your feelings or to think about how they're making you feel. And so because they're not putting themselves in your shoes, when you're saying something to them, they look at it like you're just attacking them or telling them everything that's wrong with them. And so they're shutting down and being like, I'm just so sick of you. I'm so sick of your shit and you treating me this way. You're pointing out everything that's wrong with me. I'm just going to pretend you're not here, right? Let's get some energy cards for my feminine viewers. I'm so sorry that you're going through this right now because it's very confusing. So you got I forgive you. This is really nice because I feel like with this we need to talk in the reverse and what went wrong in the reverse. You don't feel the need to fix things with this person at this time. This is you forgiving this person and kind of being at a distance from them because you need to heal. But this is also you forgiving yourself, right? For caring about them, for returning to the situation so many times. I feel like there's been a really big shift in the twin flame community lately. And for whatever reason, what I'm noticing is a lot of the feminine energy is starting to feel stupid for caring about somebody that treats them this way, and so they get into this space of feeling like, oh, why do I think about him or her? Why do I want them? Why do I still miss them? I should be over this. And what I want all of you to understand is that it's not realistic to just stop feeling something for someone, right? That's not how it works. What you're feeling is upset at the person, right? But because this person isn't here, you're internalizing that like, oh, why do I still care? I shouldn't even care about them. Well, yes, you should because you're human, right? But I feel like you all should try to acknowledge that your feelings are valid. It's normal to still care about someone even when they hurt us. As humans, we like to think we can just stop caring based on the way someone has made us feel. And that just is not how that works, right? That's how you start developing complexes around like guilt or shame, right? Because you feel as though you're betraying yourself by not being able to turn your feelings off for this person. But I want all of you to understand your feelings are 100% valid. It's time for you to forgive yourself, right? Forgive yourself for not just becoming a robot and being able to stop caring about this person because it's just not realistic, right? Let's get some cards for the masculine, because I feel like the masculine, they're coming through as just being so over it. And I just think, like, as I'm looking at this, the audacity that they have to be so, like, high and mighty in this case, where it's just very much like, how dare you speak to me, right? How dare you breathe my air? Like, the way that they're trying to make you feel right now by pretty much erasing you is what this looks like to me from their life. Planning their future, giving attention to other people, not caring if you see, not caring if you care, because in their mind you no longer exist. They're trying to make you feel the way that they feel like you've made them feel. But here's the thing. I don't feel like that's what you were doing, right? You were trying to see how could we move the connection forward. they were looking at it like, all you want to do is change me and I'm not your project and I'm perfect the way I am. But because you made them feel things that tapped into those insecurities, right? It's like they are trying to amp it up even more and really get you out of your element and tap into yours, right? Because they're looking at it as tit for tat. So let's see what masculine has to say this time. Everything I do is wrong. Yep, that's what I'm picking up on, where it's like, well, if I'm such a screw up and everything I do is so wrong, why do you keep talking to me? Just leave me alone, right? Or if all I do is mess up, why should we even bother trying to fix this? So it's really a cop out. Like, it's a very self-serving, like, boo-hoo, what's the point? I'm not going to show up for you ever because everything I do is wrong no matter what I do, right? I have trust issues in the reverse. I want to come back in the reverse. So right now, for you feminine viewers, I'm very sorry to tell you, your masculine is running. I can't make this right. The hard part is with the way that they're running. And they're running in a sense that it's almost like they don't care if you chase. Whereas in the past, you always probably felt the energy of like, I feel that pull. I feel like my masculine wants me to come after them. Now, for a lot of you, you probably are feeling nothing, right? So kind of a strange place to be in this connection. But I feel like, unfortunately, the masculine is putting everything on you, where it's like, I don't want to have to think about what's wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. Maybe you're the problem. Maybe if I just get you out of my life, I'll feel better, right? The hard part for you, though, is like, you got to a place where you've done so much work and you're trying to be healthy, and they're looking at it from a completely different point of view. But I think for you feminine, if you've been doing all this work and masculine is not, anything that you say is going to make them feel triggered, right? Because they're not in a good place right now. And that's not anything that you can change or fix, right? So with their behavior, it's like they're triggering you to have to go through like this abandonment or this trauma of like, wow, I'm standing up for myself, right? And this is what I'm getting. Maybe it's easier to not advocate for myself, I feel like if you can try to see it for what it is, as frustrating as it is, this is an opportunity for you, feminine, to be able to kind of rebuild yourself in a different way, because it seems like this situation is triggering. And if you were 100% healed, this would not be as frustrating, right? This would be something that you would be able to see it for what it is. And it wouldn't hurt as much, right? So perhaps look at this as an opportunity, and thank your masculine for showing you something that maybe you couldn't see in that moment about yourself. But as far as this goes, this person is they're just off on their own. There's just, at this time, I feel like there's nothing that you can do in regards to this, because they're viewing this as like, this isn't something I want to do. The honeymoon's worn off. I'm over it. It's always conflict. It's always arguments. Nothing I do is right. Like, they're having a massive pity party, and instead of just fixing the behavior, they feel like it's easier to act like you don't exist or you never existed, because if you don't matter to them, then what you think doesn't matter to them. And if you think anything negative about him or her, it doesn't hold weight, and that's their way of being able to help themselves feel better. Okay, so for those of you who are going through this right now, I'm very sorry. I'm going to take a look in the extended reading to see how this will play out in the future, because it feels like this person is just so lost, and I feel like you all are probably reeling from this. And now you're like, oh, I have a whole bunch of other stuff I have to figure out. Like, is this person ever coming back? Or what are all these like issues that I'm now realizing I still have about my family of origin or my friends or my first marriage, right? You're having to sift and sort through all this stuff that it feels like this person now has brought out of you because they weren't willing to face their shadow side. So I'm going to put the preview to that at the end of this video. If this was able to provide you with clarity about your situation, please feel free to leave me a like. And if you need a personal reading, the link is in the description box below. Bye. They acted completely out of their ego. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of repercussions, I feel like, from spirit for the masculine energy, not just coming from you perhaps not wanting to be a part of their life, but these 10 wands are going to signify all of the burdens that this masculine has put on themselves. So let's take a look at what that could be, because my guess just from this is that either they ended up with somebody who is not who they thought they were, or the potential that they originally saw in the relationship was a sham. Okay. And so I feel like that's spirit's way of trying to kind of pound it into the masculine. Like, okay, you thought the grass was greener. Let me show you what it's really like. Okay. Let me show you what your divine feminine has been going through. Here's somebody that looks like they have all this potential, right? So once you go after them, guess what? They're not who they said they were, or they're a cheater, or they're a drug addict, or they're using you, or they have all these issues, or maybe they're in and out of jail, or maybe they can't find a stable living situation. Here's somebody that's a huge pain in the ass, right? That you didn't even see that coming because they looked so good and they sounded so good and everything they told you was great, right? Or you just had all of this like hope for the situation. This is what it feels like when you're hopeful and you get shit on. So basically, I feel like spirit is trying to show this masculine energy, be careful what you wish for, but also be careful how you treat people. Because now masculine, originally thought, oh, I'm just going to go off and live my best life. This 10 of Wands energy, nothing about this is screaming best life to me, right? This looks like a huge burden. So let's see what is going on with the masculine in the future.